Welcome to this week's art lesson. We're going to be doing the art lessons slightly differently from now on, and I've been asked to do 3 different art lessons, one for primary 1 and 2, one for primary 3, 4 and 5, and one for primary 6, 7. But we'll all start, I'm going to always try and start with the same piece of art, so you can still do that piece together, and I'm going to try and keep the tasks as similar as possible, so you shouldn't need lots of different materials. And if you want to work on a task that's not at the level if you want to do a primary 3 task and you're in primary 1 or 2, that's absolutely fine. You can choose what you want to do. So, as always, we're going to start by looking at a piece of artwork. So this is going to be the same no matter which class you're in, whether you're in primary 1 or primary 7. You can have a look at it, and we're going to talk about the same 4 things. So it is the subject, the media used, the visual elements, and the personal response. What are your feelings and thoughts? So let's have a look at the artwork that we're going to look at today. It's a really famous painting, so you might have seen this one. And here is the piece of artwork here. So what I'm going to get you to do is have a really close look at the artwork and think about what you can see in the artwork. As there's not an awful lot in this one, you might also want to be thinking about, are there any clues in the artwork? Are there any clues to when it was painted? Which season it was painted in? Which century it was painted in? Is it modern? Do you think it was maybe painted 100 years ago, 200 years ago? What clues are there to help you to come to those conclusions? So have a really close look at the artwork, say what you can see, and pause the video for a moment to give yourself time to think about that. Okay, so we're going to move on now to the next slide. And this time we're going to say, what media did the artist use? So looking at this piece of artwork here, you're going to think, when we talk about the media, we're thinking, is it a painting? If it's a painting, was it oil paints? Do you think it was watercolor paints? Could it have been done in pastels? Could it be pencil or chalk? Could it be a print? We've done some printing in school. Could it be a collage? Is it made of clay? Is it a photograph? Is it fabric? How do you think this piece of artwork was created? Pause the video if you need some time to think about that. Okay, so this piece of artwork is an oil painting. Okay, and you can see this piece of artwork, unfortunately not at the moment because all the galleries are closed, but when they reopen you can see this piece of artwork at the National Gallery in Edinburgh. So if you wanted to go and have a look at it, see it up close, you can do that once the galleries have opened again. Okay, let's have a look at the next slide. So, which visual element is strongest? There is no right or wrong answer here. When we do this in class, there's always somebody who has a different opinion, and that's absolutely fine. Okay, so there's 4 visual elements we're going to look at. So imagine you've got your visual element gallery and you've got 4 rooms, and you've got to decide in your gallery where you're going to put this piece of artwork. Are you going to put it in the line room? Do you think this piece of art is all about line? What about colour? Would you put it in your colour room? And would you perhaps put it in the pattern or texture room of your gallery? Or would you put it in your shape or form room? So have a close look. I think this one, there might be some different answers here actually. Have a think where you're going to put it, and pause the video if you need some time to decide. Okay, I'm going to move the slide on now. and have a look at it. What does this artwork make you think about or make you feel? So as you're looking at the artwork, what kind of mood do you feel is in the artwork? You know, does it make you feel bright and uplifted, or is it a bit sadder? Make you feel a bit more thoughtful? Why is that? Is it something to do with the colours? Is it something to do with the expression on the face of the person in the artwork? What are they thinking about? How are they feeling at the moment? Why do you think that is? Why are they feeling that way? What clues do you have when you look at the painting? So perhaps you want to ask someone else in your house as well what the artwork makes them think about or feel, because they might have a completely different idea from yours. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the last slide, and I'll tell you the name of the painting and the name of the artist. So the name of this painting is The Skating Minister, and it's by Henry Raeburn. Hello, this is the lesson for Primary 1 and 2. So when you looked at the painting today of the Skating Minister, you'd notice that he was wearing really dark clothing. And if we were wearing ski clothes now, or ski jackets, or if you had a jacket on to go sledging, it probably has really bright patterns and bright colours. So what we're going to do today is we are going to use the visual element of line and colour to create some really bright patterns that you might see on a ski jacket or on a jacket that you can wear out on a cold day. So we're going to start off using our pencil, and we are going to be creating lots of different patterns. So I really want you to explore pattern here, and we're going to be using our line to do that. So you could start off by playing around with some different types of lines. So I'm going to start off with some zigzag lines. I can have them going this way, so the points meet each other. Or I could have my lines going like this. So have a play around, try out some different patterns. So you might want to try this is a bit like a river running down a valley. Nice curved lines. Might try and do another one just beside that. So perhaps you're more interested today in exploring some curved lines. Might try another one there. If you want to, you could add in some other lines to make shapes. At the moment, I don't have a plan for how my designs are going to come out. I'm just experimenting at the moment. What else could I do? I could perhaps do some patterns using straight lines, and I could do a different pattern just going inside there. When you look at these, do you think any of them would look good on a jacket? Maybe you've got a pattern on a jacket that you really like, and you might want to try and get that jacket and look at it and see if you can draw some of the patterns that are on that jacket. You could have just some short lines. Trying to keep my pattern really even as I go down. So once you've done quite a few of these different ones, you can have a little think about which is your favourite, and you can decide which one you would like to cover the whole sheet with. So I'm going to turn my sheet over, or I could start on a new sheet if I wanted to, if you've got paper there. So which one would be your favourite? I think out of these ones, I quite like this one. Don't know, that it looks almost like someone's been skiing or sledging down a hill and left their tracks. Or maybe these are obstacles that they've been trying to go around. Don't know. You might choose a different one. Your patterns hopefully will be really different from mine. So you might want to pause the video, have a play around, come up with as many different types of patterns as you can. Maybe don't make them too small because you're going to have to cover your whole page with them. Okay, so pause the video until you've had a play around with some different patterns. Okay, now you've started the video again, you're going to have a look at your pattern, choose your favourite, and then you're going to work on the fresh piece of paper and work on that pattern. Okay, so I'm going to start my pattern on here now. So I've done lots of lines to get my pattern started. I want to make it a bit more interesting, so I'm going to think about what I can add in. So I think on the last time I added in some circles. I'm not going to do exactly the same this time, so I'm going to change mine around a bit. Are there any shapes you could add into yours? I'm going to add them in, not on every single one this time. I'm going to try and make my pattern look a bit different. So have a go at adding something to your pattern now. What can you add to it? Okay, looking at mine now, it reminds me a bit of Under the Sea. These look like sort of maybe sea grasses that are floating up with bubbles, maybe coming from some creatures. If you want to, you could think about challenging yourself to add a bit more detail. I'm just wondering if I could take some of these lines, I might have to turn my paper around for this, and maybe I could go really close to them. And I can really control my pencil as I'm drawing this next pattern. Okay, you might have some other details that you want to add in. Have a look, but I'm going to stop my pattern there. I think this looks quite good. And what we're going to do now is we're going to turn our patterns into some really bright piece of clothing. So you could choose here to do, I'd say like a milder option would be to make a hat, and then a spicy option could be to make a jacket, and the hot option could be to make a jacket and trousers. So what you might want to do is you might want to pause the video and have a look and get a jacket, get a hat, lay it out and look at the shape of it, because that's what we're going to be drawing next. So if you want to do that, you could pause the video and you could put on, lay down your jacket, hat, or if you've got sort of waterproof trousers sometimes that you maybe wear out if you're going out on a really cold day, or maybe going sledging, you could lay those out as well and have a think which one you're going to draw. So here I've taken some photographs of some things to keep us cozy when we are outside. So the first thing I've got here is a hat. So I'm just going to think about how I'm going to draw that hat. So I'm going to just draw over the top of my picture just to give you some ideas. So I can go a really nice curved line going over and then going across. And then I can have this bit coming along the bottom here, and maybe a big round circle for my pom-pom on the top. Okay. And if I look on to my jacket next, I am going to this one. This one's good. It's got lots of really good pattern on it, as did the hat. And I'm going to add on here, I'm just going to draw around this. So you don't need to do this part, it's just to give you some ideas. So you could almost start with a really big chunky rectangle. And you don't want to make your drawing too small, because if you make it too small, you won't have much of your incredible pattern that you've created. And then from the side of there, I've almost got these other rectangles joining in. Imagine them a bit like that. Okay, to give you some idea of how you can draw them. You can add a bit more detail in. You could put some little cuffs in. You could maybe have, sometimes jackets have a wee bit round there as well. I'm not going to do zips and things like that at the moment. And if you want to put in a hood as well, you could put in your hood. Okay, so that is for spicy. We'd be thinking about drawing our jacket shape. Okay, so we'll have a look at the next thing. I've got these ski trousers. So this would be for hot. You'd be doing the jacket and the trousers. So I'm just going to draw over the top of those just to get an idea of what the shape would be like. So I could almost think about, I could do it in a few different ways, but I could, rather than just having the lines going straight down, you could think about like it's almost like a rectangle coming down along this way with a wee bit joined onto the top, and then another rectangle crossing over there would be a good way to draw it. Okay, so we have got now some ideas about how to draw our piece of clothing. So you might want to get your hat or jacket or trousers, and we're going to draw these onto the back of our patterned piece of paper. So I'm going to show you. I'm coming back to have a look at my paper now with my patterns on. So this was my practice sheet, and this was my second sheet here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn them over onto the other side, and you need your pencil again for this. And no one's going to see this drawing on the back, so it's up to you. So if you're doing the mild task, we were thinking, I'm not sure, I might have my paper this way around. we're thinking about our pattern for our hat, and so we had that big rectangle. It's not got sharp corners though, it's got nice rounded corners. So I'm going quite lightly so that if I don't like the shape I can draw over it again. Sometimes call these ghost lines, and just really, really lightly. I'm doing them a bit heavier so that you can see it on the video. And then I'm not going to do the next shape first. I'm going to do my pom-pom on the top first of the hat, because otherwise I might not have room to fit it in. So I'm going to do a big circle at the top there. And then I'm going to do this big shape coming up. And have a look at your shape. You can have a look at the shape of your own hat and see, does it match? I might turn it that way, make sure you can see the whole thing. And if you're happy with it, you can cut it out. So this is sort of, it doesn't have to be the Myotask, but I've called it the Myotask just for different challenges, but you can choose which one you want to do. So I'm going to cut in and cut round. I'll snip that bit off just now to give me some space. There we go. And we always keep our scissors pointing away from us when we're cutting. And hopefully, this was my practice sheet, so you might have chosen to do this in your full sheet. You might have made now a really lovely patterned hat on the other side. And you might want to colour that in a bit more. I think if I was doing this again, I might have made my rectangle a bit wider and made these bits a bit narrower just so I could see where it comes in, but actually I quite like that. So now you might want to colour in your patterns, or you might want to leave it as it is. It's up to you. Okay, so these are going to be much more exciting and interesting to look at than the clothes that the skater was wearing in Henry Raeburn's painting that we looked at the beginning. Which one do you think you would prefer to wear? Would you prefer to wear a really brightly coloured and patterned piece of clothing, or would you want to wear the black clothing that he was wearing? Why did you decide that? So that's our hat. If you want to as well, the other option was to draw on the jacket or the trousers, or both the jacket and the trousers. So that's something that you could work on. So I think I might try and do both of them. So we started again with a big rectangle for our jacket. I could maybe have made that a little bit longer, so that's why I've done these very light lines. So if I don't like what I've done to start with, I can make it a bit bigger. And then I had the arms coming out. They were like rectangles as well, weren't they? Maybe a bit longer than that. And coming down to here. I just have to turn my paper a little bit. I want to make sure that my arms are about the same length. This one needs to be a bit longer. Oh, I'm almost to the edge of my paper there. And if I want to draw in the hood as well, I could pop the hood in. And remember some of those details you might want to add. Depending on how you feel about cutting, you think you're going to be able to cut out these really careful details. When I was in primary 1 and 2, I found cutting really difficult. I wasn't very good at cutting out lots of details. I think it's because I was left-handed and I didn't have left-handed scissors. So if you find it a bit harder, you maybe want to leave out these detailed parts, but just keep having a go. and you'll get better. Okay. And then if I want to, I could do the trousers. I think I'm going to do the trousers this way around because I don't think I'm going to have room because they're coming out the way. It doesn't matter because they're going to be cut out. So they started off, didn't they, with two, we started off with two big rectangles again. So we've been doing lots of line today in our artwork, but also we've been thinking about shape and we've been thinking about pattern. These are quite wide, these. So when we're thinking about our visual elements, you normally don't just have one visual element. There tend to be lots of different ones. Okay, and just at the top there, we'll just make that come over. Okay, I'm going to try and get these. This one looks a bit wider than the other one. I haven't got much room to make this wider. I've run out of space a bit. So when you're drawing these, do make sure they're nice and big so you've got plenty of room to draw them and you get lots of your amazing pattern which is on the back. So I'm going to cut these out now and see how they look. So have a look at your ski wear now. It doesn't have to be for skiing, just for winter wear, I suppose. I don't think I can fit it in my camera. I might have to turn it sideways to lay them both down. And oh, the pattern kind of matches up there down the middle. Would you wear it? Think about colouring it in. If you want to colour it in, sometimes these kind of patterns look best when you maybe just choose, say, 3 or 4 colours and stick to those rather than do lots and lots of different ones. What you could also do if you wanted to, if you found an old photograph of yourself, you could ask if it'd be okay to cut out your face, and you could have your face stuck on just at the top here. So you could stick on a face, that would look quite good. And I think your little character is off ready to go and play with some snowballs or go sledging. You might have made the hat. It's up to you. So I hope that you managed to share some of your work with your teacher today, and hopefully I might be able to see some of it as well. So you might want to share it on Twitter, or you might want to share it on Teams. Okay, and I hope you enjoyed today's art lesson, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Goodbye.